Hello again, this is UML Operator. All right, and welcome. In this episode, we're going to learn and create our first requirement model diagram. All right, so let's get started. So we are in Sparx default workspace layout. So we've got browser on the left, we've got properties in the upper right, and we have notes in the lower right. And this area right here is your work area. This entire thing is workspace. I often refer to the work area as the workspace, so I hope I don't confuse you. Now I like to have toolbox on, and if you remember from previous videos, we go to the Start tab, all Windows panel here. We're going to go into Design, and we're going to select Toolbox. I like the toolbox to the left of the browser, so you can drag and drop it and place it anywhere you want. And there we go. Now we're set up to productively work because we're modeling. And I don't know why the toolbox doesn't come up immediately for you, but I will save this workspace so that I can get to it most often. So if you're just starting out in requirements, don't know what a requirement is, Sparx can help you with that. But let's go to the traditional way of getting help. So we go to the Start tab, we go to the right side of the ribbon under Help, and let's select Help. And then Open Help, and we get to the Welcome Center. And in the Welcome Center, you can hunt and peck, you could use search, too slow for me, but you can follow the breadcrumbs. So we have all of these selections here. We're going to choose modeling domains. And in modeling domains, we're going to choose the requirements model. And then from here, you have all sorts of selections, requirements overview, you can go back and go through requirements development and go back. So you can navigate this way and learn as you go. That's the traditional way of training and learning in Sparx. But wait, there's more. And the better way of learning in Sparx is to use Model Builder. So what we're going to do is in the browser, we're going to create a folder here. We'll just call it Requirements Learning, just like that with a diagram. And then this is usually my cover page, and I really don't care what it is. I'm just going to choose a class diagram. So we select Create Class Diagram, and now we have a namespace or a package with a diagram in it called Requirements Learning. And this is going to be our collection area for this episode. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to select the package or namespace, and we're going to create a package and diagram in this namespace. So right up here in the browser, Model Builder tells you right there, we're going to select it. Then we're going to go to Search, and we're going to look for requirements. And just started typing REQ, and you start getting a selection of Model Builder patterns that are available for you. So you have one level requirements, and you can go through here however complicated you want to get. But we're going to start with one level requirements, and we're going to create model. All right, so there we go, and it has created a package right here and a diagram with a default diagram that's in here. All right. And then you can use the scroll bars to navigate, or if you have pan and zoom, you can move around the diagram. Let's bring in some learning material here. So over in the tool box that you see here, we're just going to close these because they're in the way, and it's a lot easier to go down to documents. And we're going to drag and drop this document element into our work area, our diagram, and let go. And we're just going to call this Requirements Learning, or whatever you want to call it. We're going to double click it, and then you get a choice of reporting templates you can use. Here's all the canned templates that are available. We're just going to go with none. All right, we're going to hit OK. Now we have a blank document that we can use to bring in our learning material. Now we're going to go back to Model Builder. It remembers the last pattern we looked at. We're going to just click anywhere in here and hit Control A to select everything that's in here. We're going to hit Control C to copy, and we're going to close this. So we're in our blank document. We're going to hit Control V, and we're going to paste everything in here. So now we have all of this learning content from Sparx in a document that we and our team can get to. Now you see this asterisk that's right next to the diagram or document name right here. It has an asterisk in it. That means we need to save it. So we can hit Control S. Here's another one we haven't saved yet. Or you could come up and look for the save icon that's right here and select that. Does the same thing, but I just use Control S. Nothing is worse than doing a lot of work and then forgetting to save. So if you're in a particular diagram and you make a change and you get this, and then you go to close Sparx or even close the diagram, Sparx will give you a warning, but sometimes you're just shutting down your machine or you're not paying attention. And then you come back and you go, hey, where was I left off? Where did I leave off on this? So you can very quickly get back to it. All right, so let's bring our model back up. We've got our learning aid in here and a lot of learning material. Now we're free to type anything we want in here, ask questions or mark areas where you've left off. More importantly, you can get to references, much faster way of getting to the documentations that Sparx has available. Like what are requirements? Tells you right there, hit Control and select the link. And then it brings up your particular model or diagram that you're looking at. Like what are requirements? And you can learn everything about requirements. And then you can go down through the navigation and continue your learning this way. All right. You can add links to your document. You go to where you want to add the link. You're in Document Edit tab. We go to Insert. We go to Hyperlink. We type in what the link text is. Let's just put a link here to UML Operator with the URL. And you can continue to add particular links. And then you can launch those links when you want to, and you get to the channel. And if you want to search for requirements in here, let's just put in requirements. You'll get to all my videos on requirements or requirement related videos, and bring in that URL as well as other information that you want to apply. So now this document here becomes your learning aid. Let's go ahead and close it. Oh, we forgot to save it. Thank you, Sparx, for reminding us, and we get back to our modeling work. Before we move on to creating our own diagram, let's open this back up again and go down and look at useful workspace layouts. So they tell you core modeling is a recommended workspace. So let's try that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Start. We're going to go to Workspaces, and we're going to look for core modeling. Let's go ahead and select it and see what it looks like. So it's got browser on the left, no toolbox, properties on the right. It's brought you pan and zoom so that you're able to move around your model and things like that. But it's missing a lot of things here, and I don't believe that this is the best workspace for you to be going with, right? And you'll learn about workspaces in a later video. I have videos on this, but I'm going to go back to my default workspace, and it's going to take us back where toolbox is on the left, browser is on the left, and properties and notes. All right. So they're on the right. And then we've got our work area. All right. So this is what I believe is a good start, but I have much better, more productive workspaces. But in today's session, we're just going to focus on this workspace. All right, let's go ahead and close this. We can close this. And I'm going to leave this up. This is going to be our dashboard. You'll learn later on how to create your own cover page or dashboard that'll automatically load, but you'll learn that later. Let's just bring in a navigation cell for now. I'm not going to pick anything. I'm just going to go with OK, and we'll leave that right there. That way we can see what's behind it as we're navigating. What we're going to do is we're going to go up to, let me save this, Control S. We're going to go up to the main package right here. Minimize this. We don't care about it. And we're going to now just use new package. All right. And in here, we're just going to call this my first requirements, like that. And we're going to select create diagram. And this time out of our selection, we're going to go to extended. Now I have all of these MDGs, model driven generation tools that are here. We're not worried about those. All right. We're just going to go to extended and we can choose custom. Tells you right down here what's involved here. We're going to choose requirements. Again, tells you down here what it's involved, and we're going to create diagram. Now we have a blank diagram called my first requirements, and our toolbox was updated to reflect the type of diagram that we're doing, which is requirements. And here in the toolbox, you have package element, requirement, feature, risk, and so on, all the way down. We'll get into the toolbox involved here in a later session. So let's create a requirement. So over here in the toolbox, we're just going to grab the requirement element. You can select it. You can see that the cursor, the mouse has changed. It looks like it's holding an element. We can put it anywhere we want. Let's just put it up here. It's our first requirement. Now it auto names it requirement, no space, 1. If we bring in another one, requirement 2, and so on, all the way down. And I will teach you how to do this very quickly using copy, paste as new, bring in patterns, and all that other stuff. You'll learn that later on in the channel, right? Let's bring in a feature. There we go. Now we have a feature. One of the things you'll notice over in properties is you have metadata here that you can manage, all right? So you have feature difficulty, you can change it to high, medium, low. You've got priority, again, high, medium, and low. Let's look at the requirement one. Is it different? Not really. It's the same. So later on, you'll learn about tags and tag values. We won't get into that. But let's bring in one of these extended requirements, all right? Let's bring in a business requirement, right? You'll notice that between the basic requirement element properties and this extended UML element type, we have a lot more to play with here. We've got business requirement. These are tag values that are embedded in the element where you can add context, type away as much as you want. You can add in a lot more, right? This is separate from the tag values that you'll learn about in later videos. So that's properties for each element that you're bringing into your work area. Let's organize this. I'm just going to move this something like this. And we're going to draw a relationship between requirement 1 and requirement 2. So grab this arrow, drag and drop it to this requirement and let go. And you get all of these choices. And you'll learn about connectors and association types in UML later on. You can do association, you can do generalization, aggregation, to whole or part. Let's just do aggregation to part, right? So what are we saying here with this open diamond with this requirement? There's something called traceability that helps you understand the relevance or relationship between your requirements and other elements. In this case, it's requirement to requirement, all right? So if we go up and turn on traceability, let's go into design, we're going to go to trace, we get another window here. And what we're saying when we select this is that this requirement is composed of requirement 2. So requirement 1 is composed to requirement 2. If we look at requirement 2 is part of requirement 1. All right, let's start wrapping up here, but I want to show another example of what you can do. Let's go into starter class element, which we did in a previous session. All right, so we have this model here with a couple of elements in it. And what we're going to do is just bring in class A. All right, we're going to drag it in as a link. You'll learn about instances and object. You'll learn about generalization, that kind of stuff in the channel later on. But let's bring it in as a link. I'm going to hit OK. All right, so we have the namespace here. It tells us it's in the starter class right there. And then : it's the element is A. All right. So you'll learn later on how to turn off namespaces if you want to. But what we're going to do is state that requirement 2 has some sort of connection to this class element. This could be an application, could be a piece of code, could be a lot of different things. We'll go ahead and let go. These are the selections that we get. So let's choose realization. And then we have traceability turned on. And you remember how to do that up here in design. You just turn on trace and it brings it up. So when we select this, we're stating here that this requirement implements this, whatever this is, this application. All right. Is that a true statement? Let's check. So what we're going to do is we're going to right click on this, go to advanced, and then we're going to reverse the direction. Now, when we look at this requirement, we can see this requirement is realized by this application, this piece of code. That's a true statement, but this is more of a true statement. So when you're doing requirements engineering, this becomes extremely important. So when we select this element, we look at traceability, this, whatever this element is, it's called class A, is implementing this requirement. All right. So very important to understand your connections in your requirements and so much more. All right. So what we stated up here was this requirement, if we look at traceability, is composed of. Well, the proper way to represent this, if we hit Alt-G, we can find this requirement in our browser. And if we're stating that requirement 2 is composed of requirement 1, then what we can do is drag and drop it under that element. And this becomes a true organization of your requirements in your browser and the stories that you're trying to tell. There's so much more to talk about, but we're going to cut it off here. In this channel, you'll learn about layouts, for example, and filtering. If you turn on filtering, now when you select something, you only see the elements that you're talking about. So if we're talking about an application, it's only showing the fact that it has a connection with this particular requirement. And so it helps you when you're doing your presentations, your collaboration on especially in requirements engineering, that you're able to focus your audience on the elements you're talking about. You'll learn more about that as we're going forward. All right. So thanks very much for watching. I hope this was helpful for you. Please leave comments down below, good or bad. Post questions and concerns. All right. And if you're not already a subscriber, subscribe and follow us. All right. We're learning together, and I hope that we continue to learn more. So until that next episode, happy modeling.